Hey guys, you clicked on a very special video. You're going to get to hear about a couple things in this that I think you're really going to enjoy. The first thing is, towards the end of the video, I'm going to share some special insights on finishing this concrete floor. I stayed and finished this myself. Darren and Luke took off and went to another job. So I really break down especially the beginning stages of finishing concrete, power troweling and all that, the timing of it. Very special insights that you can only really get from a real concrete finisher. So, and you're going to get to part 2. I'll go over all the finishing, how to power trowel concrete, how to saw cut it and everything. So you're going to want to, subscribe, come on back and watch part 2 to see all the really good information about that. But right here, the pouring part of this video, we're going to see if we can break our own record for screeding a 2-bay garage like this. This garage is 26 by 28, I believe. And the last time we timed ourselves, it took 3 minutes and 17 seconds for us to just the screeding part of it. It actually takes longer to pull the concrete around like this, get it all spread out, than it does to screed the concrete. So when it comes time to, we're actually just going to screed this one by hand. We're not even going to use the battery screed on this garage today because to us, this isn't a very big pour. It's kind of small. So we didn't even break out the battery screed. We'll just do it by hand. So we'll time it and see if we can beat our record of 3 minutes and 17 seconds. But before that, let's go over some of the steps it takes just to get to this point. Now, when we get a call, this is a big housing development in here. We do all kinds of houses and garage floors in here for this general contractor. And, this foundation got put in probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He gives us a text and just lets us know, hey, the foundation guys are here putting in the footings and walls. As soon as they get the form stripped, we're going to come in, we're going to do our backfilling and stuff. And then the GC guy, he puts down his own styrofoam, so he'll lay that in just before we get here, like a day or two before we get here. And then I show up just to check my grades. Usually the grades are really good here. The excavator here, the guy that does the gravel work, does a really good job. So everything's usually really perfect. Now these garages, they slope 2 inches from back to front, so he slopes the dirt also. So I can basically just, set my laser up, take an average of the dirt in the back, raise it up 4 inches, and then drop that 2 inches and make my marks, and then, we snap a chalk line around the wall. That's what I'm magging that you see where I'm magging the back there. I'm going by a blue chalk line there that we had previously set with the laser. And then in the middle we got a pin with a grade on it. Usually sometimes we'll put a screw through it or a nail through it, and we also have these special pins we use that have these like these yellow set markers on them. We can set that yellow thing right to grade. Those things are in my other white truck. I got 2 white trucks. You can see that truck over there on the right. That one's fairly new to us. I bought that last year, and we're just getting it all set up and ready to go to actually work every day. Been working on it a little bit. It's 2019. It's in pretty good shape, but there's a special way we like to set up the toolboxes and the racks and all that, so we've been working on that. Finally got it to where we need it. My other truck, the Chevy I've been using, it's a 2012. That one's got like 365,000 miles on it. That one's still going good and everything, but we're gonna keep that as a spare truck now. The blue one over there, the guys love that blue one. They don't want to get rid of it, but that's a 2006. That one's got about 300,000 miles on it. It's a diesel, but the guys love it so much. I can't get them to stop using it and get them something else. But we'll just keep going with it until I guess it just doesn't go anymore. All right, so let's get back to it. So I get a call from the guy, and we come up, we get it ready. I shoot grades. I figure the concrete. I've already told the concrete batch man, hey, we got a pour coming up on such and such a day. Let's just say it's a Friday. I'm going to need 1 load up there, 6:30 a.m. in the morning, so he pencils me in for that. Typically, I'll have like 2 weeks of concrete booked in advance. There's all kinds of jobs like this, whether they're houses and garages together or just the house, in different towns all over the state, usually within an hour to an hour and a half of the shop. So we'll have concrete lined up, and then just hope it doesn't rain and kind of mess the whole schedule up. But that's and then so we show up the morning of the pour here, we probably get here a half hour before the concrete truck, get everything unloaded, just make sure everything's ready to go, make sure nothing's in the way. Right, on this job site right here, there's usually, this guy's really good about making sure nothing's in the way. There's been sites where, you know, we show up, this just happened the other day, we show up and the builder has all the lumber delivered for the house, and it's just an open foundation like this, and we're scheduled to come in and pour like in a day or two. And the lumber company, they set all the wood for the first deck, for the walls, for everything. They set it all right in front of the foundation, so we can't even get a truck close to the foundation. So now I got to go to the builder and say, hey, you know, you got to get all this moved. Like, we got to back a truck here, I got to back a truck here. I got to be able to get my pickup truck right back to the foundation right here so we can drop the power trowel down in with a crane. And that happens more often than you think, really. They just, I don't know. There's sometimes some builders or GCs or job sites, wherever you go, they just, I don't know what it is. They have a brain cramp or something, or they just don't care. This guy here, he's really good, though. He keeps everything out of the way. So we just show up, do our thing, and then, you know, he calls and gets the lumber delivered after that. So if the truck shows up, we tell them to mix up to a certain slump. Our normal floor mix is 3,500 PSI, fiber mesh, water reducer. We do have some air entrainment in these garages because they're not all heated. Sometimes they will go through freeze-thaw cycles. You know, the car drives in, some water drips off the car, gets onto the concrete floor. And if there's no air in the concrete and that freezes overnight, there's a chance that could damage the surface of the concrete. So we do have air entrainment in there. And there's a myth out there, I know a lot of you guys know, well, you can't steel trowel, you can't power trowel concrete with air entrainment in it. Well, yeah, you can. I've been doing it my whole life, 45 years, and it's fine. You just have to know how to do it. It's timing. You've got to get on the concrete at the right time. You're not going to have, I don't have any problems anyway. I'll just give you my case. My opinion is I've never had any problem power troweling concrete with air entrainment. I was brought up back in the 80s when I was, you know, first doing concrete. All the concrete we used had air entrainment. Every single, we were doing malls, parking garages, hospitals, schools, you name it. I've done it all with air entrainment. This non-air entrained concrete pretty much came up, at least from what I remember, is when they started using the ride-on power trowels. They didn't have any ride-on power trowels when I started doing this. It was all these walk-behinds, 3-footers and 4-footers. And then the ride-on power trowels came with pans and everything, and then everybody started having trouble with the surface delaminating. And then you know, all the interior concrete went to non-air entrained concrete, and I guess that helped with it a little bit. But I've never experienced any trouble power troweling concrete with air. So when we do interior garages like this that aren't heated, I always ask for half air in them, just for a little bit of protection. I mean, you do have that little section that's outside the door, and that's going to go through freeze-thaw cycles over here. So once we get to the end of this screeding right here, let's figure out the time on this and see how long this took us. All right, so I added up the time it took to screed that center pad, and then the right side of the garage, and then the left side of the garage. So the total screeding time we're at right now is 1 minute and 30 seconds. And the time to beat is 3 minutes and 17 seconds. So it's gonna be close. Now I didn't tell the guys that this is all just about me when I was watching the video back. I just wanted to show you guys probably the quickest, the fastest, and for us almost the easiest part of pouring and finishing concrete is actually screeding the concrete. Even though it looks hard, you know, being bent over like that, screeding the concrete. Once you learn how to do it, it's actually pretty easy. And as you can see, there's 2 of us that grab. That's probably a 13-foot long screed right there. When 2 of us grab that screed together and we're in the same rhythm pulling the concrete, it's really quite an easy task to do, honestly, especially with the right slump concrete. Again, I'll go back to when I first started doing this, when I was in my teens and early 20s, doing a lot of commercial stuff. The concrete was really stiff, you know, a 3 or 4 inch slump. Slump is how stiff or how loose or how dry the concrete is basically what it's referred to as slump. So this slump that we pour with water reducer, that's probably around a 7 slump. And a 7 slump is probably considered fairly loose to most people. Now, without the water reducer in there, without adding that, if you take that water reducer and don't add it to the mix and just pour what would it normally be before that, this would probably be about a 4-inch slump. So the concrete really doesn't slide down the chute very well. It's very dry, very hard to work with, very hard to pull around, and really hard to screed by hand like this. So that's what I grew up doing, and there was no water reducer we used back then. It was all just really low slump concrete, very stiff. So we're at 1:30 seconds, and we're just about getting ready to screed most of the rest of this. We'll pour out, you know, we generally like to pour out most everything and then get the concrete screeded, because as you can see, it doesn't take very long for us to get it down. So we'll get a little bit more concrete right there to fill that in so we can mag that edge a little bit more, and then we'll leave that last little corner just a little bit low. In case we have a little bit of high, we're going to pull back and, you know, we can just fill it in that low instead of just shoveling it out. Now the concrete driver, he's going to wait for us because, number one, we're pretty fast. Generally, when you order concrete like this, all right, here we go. Let's start timing this right here and see how long it takes me to make. All right, so that was 5 seconds. So we're at 1:35. Now I'm not counting the time it takes us to walk around and stuff, just actual screeding time. And you know, once we get through a bay, I'll add up the seconds it takes us in that bay. We're trying to beat 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Right now what we're doing is just making sure that form in front of the garage door is perfectly level across the front. We don't want to dip in that form, so we always check that. Okay. All right, so here we go right here. We'll see how many seconds this takes us. Now don't forget, at the end of this video here, we're going to start going over some insights on finishing. You know, the timing, when to get on the concrete, about mag floating the edges, steel troweling edges, power troweling, and then you know, most of the power troweling and the saw cutting and all those insights and tips, stuff like that will be in part 2 of this. So make sure you subscribe and come on back to see part 2. This is how we were taught to screed. This is how I was taught when I was 15 years old. There were no power screeds back then, no battery screeds or anything like that. It was all, everything was done by hand. And you can see it's still a pretty fast way to screed. All right, so that bay took about 45 seconds. So I'm at 2 minutes and 20 seconds right now. And we got more than 3/4 of this. So let's see what this lasts. Remember, 3 minutes, 17 seconds. If we can get this last bay down in a little bit under a minute, we're going to have our record beat. Now, if we were really trying to beat the record, I would have, you know, obviously in the beginning of the pour, I would have told the guys, hey, let's do this as fast as possible, but I didn't even think of it. This is just something I thought of after I started watching the video back. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. Now, I cut out the times when we weren't actually screeding, so it's just actual screed times. And pull this off right here. That's going to be 2 minutes, 53 seconds of actual screeding time getting this 2-bay garage down. So that is a new garage, 2-bay garage screeding record for us. You just witnessed. Let me know what you think down in the comments like that. Now, if we were going to use a battery-powered screed, that probably would have taken just about the same amount of time. The speed of that is about the same. Just, you know, there's just one guy operating the screed with 2 guys raking the concrete versus kind of the opposite, the way we do it by hand right here. So pretty fast, actually, I think, for not really talking about it in advance or trying to break a record or anything like that. But anyway, just thought that would be kind of cool to watch. 2 minutes, 53 seconds isn't very long as far as the process of doing this. Probably took me a lot longer to actually bow float the concrete here. So here's some finishing insights. Hey guys, so in this training, we're going to learn a little bit about power troweling a concrete floor, how to finish it properly. And this is about 30 minutes after the pour. So we got a 3,500 PSI mix. We did put a little bit of an accelerator in it this morning. It's been about 30, like I said, about 30 minutes since we got done pouring and bow floating the floor. So we're gonna check it. I'm gonna show you what it feels like right now. It's about 70 degrees out today. The sun's starting to come up over the trees, so it's pretty warm. The concrete's on styrofoam, so that does help it set up a little bit. But we'll go over the timing of it and all the different steps it takes to power trowel and then saw cut a concrete floor like today. So let's just take a look at what it feels like right now, about 30 minutes after the pour. And I use the touch, the feel of touch, to kind of give me a sense of just how firm the concrete's getting at any certain point, especially the first time. So I'll touch it at first, and then if I feel like it's really firm, then I'll step on it. Let's take a look. Yeah, I can tell by touch that's starting to get really firm, and we're only, like I said, about a half an hour after the pour. So I can press in, I could probably press in about 1/4 of an inch. Then I got to start really putting a lot of pressure on the concrete. So that tells me it's getting close. Not quite ready for me yet. I mean, if I was brand new to this and I've never power troweled concrete before, I'd be starting to really think about getting on this right now, because it's going to take you probably quite a while to get this thing floated up. But for me, knowing that it's only going to take me a couple minutes to hit this with a power trowel, I'm going to let that set up a little bit more. Now I'm going to step on it right there just to show you what it looks like after I step on it. All right, so you can tell it's pretty firm. It's supporting my weight, but I can tell under my feet it just feels a little squishy to me. Like I have to walk very carefully not to sink in any more than that. So it's still too soft for me to get on with a power trowel. But I would say, like, if I was guessing where this thing's coming up in the sun right now, it's been in the shade for quite a while, probably 15 minutes, maybe 15-20 minutes. I'm gonna check that again, and it'll probably be ready for me. So I'm just gonna mag float that out, get that smoothened out. I don't want to leave those tracks there and let them get hard inside the concrete. So yeah, you can see that footprint right there. I mean, it was about 1/4 of an inch. It's sunk in, if you can see it. So I'll just get that filled back in. I can tell by just mag floating the concrete like that, it feels really creamy, like this is going to be a nice paste on the surface to finish. Some concrete feels good, some doesn't. Most of the time our concrete feels pretty good for finishing, so I can't really complain about it. But let's give it 15 minutes. We'll come back, check it again. I'm going to get the power trowel ready to go. Pretty much just got to gas it up, hook it to the crane, and then I'll show you how I drop it down in. All right, so one part of finishing, one thing I like to do when I'm finishing by myself especially, is if I can reach the edges from the outside, I like to mag float my edges before I get on it with a power trowel, just to smooth them out, fill in any little voids or deviations from when we poured. That's basically all I'm doing. And then, you know, I mag float them with my mag the first time, and then I hit them with a steel trowel all the times after that, probably 3 or 4 times after that. So I'll just show you right here how I mag float. I'm going to go around and do these 2 sides right now, and I'll leave that side over there where it's down over the 8-foot wall. I'll just wait till I get on it with the power trowel to do that side. But I can do the front, you know, where I have the garage door tip down, so I can get all that from the outside, and then these 2 sides just make finishing a lot easier. So I don't know if you can you see that right there? Where I hit it with the mag float, there's a tiny little piece, even though I hold that nice and flat, there's a tiny little piece there. It's not really hitting too good. So I want to just I'm going to go all the way around, fill that in. If it comes and tips down just a little bit, I want to fill all that in. And then any other little imperfections I'll fill in. It's just going to make it easier for me to finish this thing and make it look a lot nicer in the long run. So I can scrape up some cream. Feel I tip that up, scrape up, bring the cream to the edge. Then I can fill it right in like that. Or I can scrape it up that way, fill it right in. That's what I want it to look like. All right, so it's been another 15 or 20 minutes. Let's just go check it again. This time, you know, I can press on it and show you. Yeah, this time I can't even really sink my fingers in. Okay, so it's firm. I can still tell it's not like rock hard, but it's firm enough so that's my fingers aren't pressing in any. Now let's look at my feet. So I would say that's about a 1/16 of an inch, not even an eighth. Doesn't feel squishy under my feet anymore. So this thing's for me, this thing's ready to go right now. It's about 26 by 28. I'm gonna get the power trowel off with the crane. Basically just hook the crane right to the power trowel. Then I got the battery. I got my battery hooked to the crane. So it's just a remote. All right, so in part 2, you know, we'll go over all the tips and tricks I use when I finish concrete. You know, these trainings are just like what you find in the Concrete Underground. I go into deep dive about concrete finishing and all that stuff. So if you want to really learn some good insights, join the Concrete Underground. Link for that is down below. But this is just a taste of that and show you what we're doing here. I'm just getting ready to power trowel this floor. So we'll see you in part 2. Thanks for watching, guys.